Hello, welcome to Math with Mr. Dobrescu, to the rescue. Let's continue with evaluating expressions using cube roots. Let's take a look at our first expression here. We have cube root of negative 64 cubed plus 43. Remember when we used the square roots, if we had the square root of a number raised to the power of 2 or squared, remember the exponents canceled out. We should do the same thing here because now we have cube root of negative 64 raised to the third power. So now we are going to cancel the exponent and we do not have any more the cube root. Okay? So in this case, we can simply cancel the exponents, and the answer here is going to come as negative 64. Remember, the number inside of the cube root is going to come out without any cube roots, right? So it's just negative 64 because negative 64 cube root of negative 64 cubed just come out as negative 64. And now let's add the 43 plus 43. And now we are going to subtract the numbers, and the bigger number keeps the sign. Okay, so let's subtract 64 minus 43. 4 minus 3, 1. 6 minus 4, 2. So the final answer is negative 21. Okay, so negative 21 is the answer for example 1. Let's take a look at example 2 here. We have 18 minus 4 cube root of 8. And again, we always try to tackle and solve the cube root first, and then we are going to solve this expression. So we have 18 minus 4, and now cube root of 8 can be written as cube root of 2 times 2 times 2, right? So times cube root of 2 times 2 and times 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 8. And now that becomes 18 minus 4 times cube root of 2 cubed, right? Because 2 times 2 times 2 means 2 to the third power. And now we can see that we can cross cancel the exponents there, the cube root and the exponent of 3 there. So now the answer is just going to be cube root of 8 is just 2. So now we have 18 minus 4 times 2. And of course, multiplication comes before subtraction, so we have to multiply first negative 4 times 2, and that becomes 18 minus 4 times 2 is 8, and 18 minus 8 is just simply 10. So 10 is our answer. Take another moment here, take a look at these examples. Remember, anytime we have a cube root raised to the third power, we are going to cross the 3 here and the 3 here, and the answer is just a number under the cube root. Okay, comes out, no more cube roots. Okay, remember that. And here, any number that is under the cube root, we need to find a number multiplied by itself, right, twice. Okay, 2 times 2 and another 2 here, right? And that becomes 2 to the third power, and finally we get to the answers. Let's take a look at 2 more examples. Let's take a look at this example here. We need to evaluate, but now they are giving us a value for the x. So now instead of x, we are going to substitute with the value given in the problem. Okay, so let's replace x with 192. And also let's replace x with 192 inside of the cube root right there. And let's see what we get. So here we have, instead of x, we can have now 192 divided by 4, plus we still keep the cube root. Instead of x, now we put 192 divided by 3. And now let's see what we get. Okay? First of all, we are going to simplify this fraction inside of the cube root and see what we get. Okay? Let's simplify this fraction inside of the cube root. Okay? So we have 192 divided by 3. And we know that 3 goes into 19 about, let's see, 6 times. How about 7 times? 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times here. 6 times 3, 18. Subtract, we get 1 and 12. 3 into 12, 4 times. So 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? So now, and also let's divide 192 divided by 4. 192 divided by 4. 4 goes into 19 about, let's see, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16. Let's subtract. 19 minus 16 becomes 3. Bring down the 2. 4 into 32 is 8 times. 8 times 4, 32. Okay? So 192 divided by 4 actually is 48. So now here we get 48 plus, let's keep the cube root for now, cube root of, and here we get 64. Okay? Because 192 divided by 3, we got 64. And now we know that 64 can be written as 4 times 4 times 4 inside of the cube root. So now we have 48 plus cube root of 4 times 4 times 4. Remember, 3 numbers, right, multiplied together gives us 64. And now this can be written as 48 plus cube root of 4 cubed. And now we can cross cancel the 3's. And now we just get 48 plus 4, because cube root of 64 is just 4. Okay? And then 48 plus 4, we get 52 as the answer. Okay? 52 is the answer for number 1. Again, pay attention. Make sure you are going to replace the value given. In this case, it was 192. Please replace that into the x, into the into the fraction, and x inside of the cube root. Okay? And then let's solve the expression, get to the answer. Let's take a look at number 4 here. We have 2b minus cube root of 9b. Now they are giving us b equals negative 3. So instead of b, we are going to replace negative 3, right? And let's see what we get. So now we have 2 times, instead of b, we are going to put negative 3. Negative 3, okay? Negative 3. And then minus cube root of 9 times negative 3 inside of the cube root. Let's solve it. Okay, let's do the multiplication first there. So 2 times negative 3 becomes negative 6 minus cube root of 9 times negative 3 becomes negative 27. Negative 27. I want you to really pay attention to this example, because we have a couple of negatives and we have to be very, very careful how we solve this example. Now we have negative 27 inside, so we have negative 6 minus cube root of 3, and negative 27 can be written as, remember, negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Okay, so we have negative 3 times negative 3 and times negative 3. But please remember, be very, very careful, because now negative times a negative becomes a positive, and then positive times a negative becomes a negative, okay? So here we get a negative number under that cube root. So now we have negative 6 minus, we're going to have the cube root, right? Cube root. Now we have, okay, now we are going to have negative 3. Okay, we got to be very careful here. Negative 3, and that is going to be cubed, right? And remember, now we can cross cancel the 3's. Let's cross cancel the 3 from the exponent, and the 1 from the cube root. And now we are going to have negative 6. Don't forget that minus. But now instead of positive 3, we are going to have a negative 3. Remember, because positive times a negative becomes a negative. So it's minus, and we have another minus here. Be very, very careful here, because now we have a minus from the outside and another minus from the inside of the cube root. And now we know that two negatives next to each other become a positive. Negative times a negative becomes a positive. Remember, the parenthesis means a times. So that becomes a plus there. So we have negative 6 plus 3. And negative 6 plus 3, remember, the bigger number gives the sign. So we have negative, and then subtract the numbers. So we get the final answer, negative 3. Thank you so much for watching. And now we had a chance to practice some of these examples where we evaluated expressions involving cube roots. Again, thank you all so much, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video. All the best to you.